Let's talk about how and why it baffles us. Despite all of the competition, Bajaj has still consistently grown.
When we started off in 2018, the ambition was to rebuild all the tech, starting with the core systems, the digital layers, the CRMs, the data layer, and the cloud journey. The sad part of CIO role is you still get bogged down by a lot of business. We started experimenting with generative AI way back in February of 2024.
Welcome to the podcast. Absolutely thrilled that you could join us, Avi. We've known each other almost 10 years with Bajaj Allianz. But first things first, why don't we let you introduce yourself and all that you've accomplished? It's going to take too long, but give us a summary. What have you been up to as the technology and the digital head for Bajaj? Not called Bajaj Allianz anymore, Bajaj. So yeah, over to you, Avi.
Right. Great to see you, Cyrus. It's always a pleasure to catch up with you. So it's been a wonderful close to 10 years of journey with the Bajaj Group for me now, out of which about 8 years in Bajaj General now, erstwhile Bajaj Allianz. Been at the helm of affairs for technology and digital for more than 3 years now. A lot has been done, right? Yeah. But I think still a lot needs to be accomplished. When we started off in 2018, the ambition was to kind of rebuild all the tech.
That new layers. Gusto as a startup.
Exactly. Correct. Starting with the core systems, the digital layers, the CRMs, the data layer, and the cloud journey.
Correct.
While a lot has been done, technology, has its own pace these days. Yeah, it keeps moving.
So you're spending more time around the business interfaces, or are you spending more time in your role, day-to-day role, in the pure tech part? I mean, how are you spreading your percentages of time?
So I would say it would be near about equal. The sad part of CIO role is while you'd want to, spend most of your time doing fancy stuff, the reality is you still get bogged down by a lot of business as usual fires.
True.
And a lot of regulatory stuff.
Reporting,
right?
Compliance.
Exactly. But fortunately, the good part of being in this era is that, every day is a new day. You keep learning every day. So I think that's something that keeps me interested.
True. So you're striding business and technology. You obviously have a look at digital channels. That's something that's been your prowess. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about how and why it baffles us. And I'm sure the audience would want to know that despite all of the competition, Bajaj has still consistently grown. And it continues to grow at a good clip, at a good pace. So is it your distribution channel? Is it your embedded insurance products? Is it the fact that you're technically savvy? What was your secret sauce? Why are you guys still growing?
So it's a secret, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I guess it's a mix of all of these things. So, starting at the helm of affairs, right? I mean, starting with our CEO, Mr. Tapan Singhal. I think he's known as the insurance man of the country.
True.
So a lot of strategy that comes from the top, right? In terms of while, going after revenues, but also ensuring you do business profitably. I think that has always been at the back of everybody's minds because that's been ingrained in us. Plus, when we talk about technology prowess, it's not always technology, the innovation in technology, but it is also innovation about products, right? We were one of the first ones to come out with newer products in the market, be it, let's say, pet insurance. Very recently, we launched surety bonds. On the health side, we have launched products for senior citizens. We have launched products for women-centric products. So insurance product innovation, obviously tech has enabled a lot of these innovations, but also a vast distribution network that has been built over the years, brick by brick, by the people.
So it comes as a cascading idea from the business heads, namely Tapan and a couple of the senior execs and Sanjeev.
Right.
It becomes a bit of a challenge, would you call it, to the tech guys, let's do this? Or then you have an equal say in, guys, we have an idea about this product customization. Hear us out. I mean, is this a new concept, or you have been doing it?
No, so it works both ways, to be honest. I think product ideas typically comes from the business teams, from the CEOs and so on. But as somebody who also is responsible for driving tech innovation, one of my responsibilities is also to bring in outside-in innovation. So we do a lot of demo days in the organization. We go to the valley once a year to see what's happening, and we bring that back to the organization.
Oh, wow.
So it's important for us to because we are the interface of technology to the organization. So it's important for us to kind of show what's happening, show the art of possible, and then it's a collaborative effort.
Some kid somewhere may have a brilliant idea, and you want to inculcate that and induct that in your mainstream, and if it goes as planned, it becomes a product or an innovation in tech.
Definitely.
And that's, I would say, a fairly unique way. I mean, if you're watching the podcast and you're wondering why Bajaj, again, as you said, Bajaj Allianz did so well in the first decade, is because of that outside-in idea. It's not the Apple, we will build and you shall follow. I think there was this two-way street saying, let's try the outside ideas.
Right.
Switching tracks, you mentioned technology a couple of times, and your main job is supposed to be technology, keeping the lights on, but you've also done a fair bit of innovation. So walk us through, we keep saying fail fast, fail early.
Right.
I personally don't think any such failure is accepted in today's day and age, but maybe it's different for you guys. Maybe you just get it, don't do that again. How are you structured? Are you able to sandbox and take those risks? And are you able to play with new ideas and AI and agentic? And then if it works, mainstream, how does it work?
So I think the good part for us is innovation is encouraged. So, even when we were actually talking about digital transformation innovation in way back 7 years back, 8 years back, it was the CEO, the board who actually encouraged us to take some of those bold steps, right? Otherwise, selling a 100, 200 crore idea is never an easy task.
Yeah, true.
So be it the entire cloud journey, be it, the data platform modernization, I think there is a lot of acceptance that, technology can be a big differentiator. So that has certainly helped.
Right.
Plus innovation, like I said, I mean, while we would want to fail fast, it is also important to fail as less as possible, because at the end of the day, you end up losing a lot of time.
True.
So we are very selective on how we kind of choose our initiatives, technologies, solutions, partners.
Right.
We have a proper stage gate mechanism. And as we grow as an organization, some of these things become very important, because you might probably work with a startup who's no longer going to be in existence tomorrow.
True.
And
the one-hit wonder may disappear, and then you're left holding that solution.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that is there. But I believe the openness of every employee, every department to accept newer things, I think that is something that kind of pushes us to kind of innovate.
Yeah, I've seen, I mean, if I dare compare that to, say, a state-owned bank, where you're supposed to do this.
Right.
And there is no avenue to think a little outside the box.
Right.
While your young and dynamic team of thousands of people are constantly playing with ideas, and maybe that differentiates you.
Right.
Talking about playing with ideas, risk compliance, because now IRDA is a little bit more involved in everything. So each product goes through an approval process. Each time there is a customization, I suspect you may have to take an approval for a product or onboarding. How much time would you say goes into pure tick the boxes and you have to comply? Is it becoming cumbersome, the insurance industry by itself, or is it still manageable? And
no, I think in fact things have become a little more better. Primarily because IRDA came up with the whole concept of use and file.
Right.
Where you can actually use a product. Obviously, it's a limited kind of this thing, and then you kind of file the product. So it actually ensures that you can actually hit the ground faster,
Right.
and the filing can happen subsequently. So from that perspective, I don't see that becoming a challenge.
Okay.
In fact, we keep filing. I'm part of the product management committee, and
Correct.
we have a new product every other month that we are filing. So,
And the acceptance you're saying is becoming more transparent and more quick in turnaround and approvals, and hence it's not an inhibitor, it's actually an enabler.
yes, definitely, definitely. And I think some of the compliances are required, right? It's not
It's not
something
the
that's
Wild West.
exactly, yeah, correct. And insurance, you have to be a little careful, right? I mean, it can wipe off your entire
Yeah,
book,
absolutely.
right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, if governance, risk, compliance is taking that much percent of your time, let's talk dollars and figures and cents. If Bajaj is spending, say, $100 dollars per annum on the whole banking, technology distribution, insurance distribution, what percentage of that, just roughly, is going in keeping the lights on? What percentage, in vague numbers, is going towards pure innovation at the front end? Guys, this is going to bring us incremental revenue. And what percentage in your mind you think goes to just tick the boxes? We have to do the reporting.
Right.
We
right.
have to do this day and batch process. We have to. So it can't be 30, 30, 30. Are you spending more on the innovation? Are you spending more on the tech part? Are you spending more in communications? Give us a rough feel. How are you structured?
So if I were to break this up into, let's say, keeping the lights on and regulatory reporting and stuff like that, I would say that would constitute roughly about 60% of my budget.
Most people, yeah. I mean, that's give or take what the benchmark is.
Yeah, give or take 5% here and there.
Right.
The rest, 35 to 40%, is actually spent on, newer technologies, innovation, and so on.
So again, if you're watching the podcast, there is this unsaid benchmark where in Indian terms, an average bank or an insurer is spending approximately 15%. So yet again, this sets Bajaj apart because roughly speaking, more than 30% is going into innovation, into products, into customer communication.
Right.
Is to what we used to call customer delight.
Right.
Are they happy? Solicit feedback. That sets them apart too. Final couple of questions. We talked a lot about tech. We talked a lot about operations. We talked a lot about people. The stitching behind that, the unifying factor, if I may, that's technology.
Right.
And the partner ecosystem. In your initial comments, you mentioned that journey to cloud.
Right.
The core
Right.
bank, core product.
Right.
Various very heavy and expensive data initiatives which need to be done.
Right.
Walk us through what your tech ecosystem looks like. You've got the customer onboarding, KYC and all of that. Then you've got some middleware.
Right.
Then you've got some data layers and orchestration. Then you've got your critical systems, cloud.
Right.
What does your stack look like for our audience?
Okay. So if I were to kind of start at the bottommost layer, I would start with the infrastructure, and we are set up in a very hybrid kind of a model. Earlier we had ambitions of being a 100% cloud organization, but we have realized very early in our journey that maybe a hybrid setup works much better in our context.
It does.
So we are we are not a multi-cloud today, but we are not. So we are open to multiple clouds more from a innovation perspective, but not so much from an infrastructure perspective.
Right.
So on the bottom we have a co-location center, a DC and a DR, and then we have our critical assets on the cloud.
So Avi, AI is going to change the world. AI is changing the jobs. AI is changing insurance. AI is changing banking. I know you guys have already started initiating use cases in Gen AI and AI. Looking at your crystal ball, I mean, we're already in December of 2025. What's 26 looking like from an adoption of AI? And just generally speaking, where do you think AI is going to lead the insurance industry, because a lot of our watchers and viewers have just started dabbling in AI.
Right.
Use cases are not very clearly defined,
Right.
but there are some early wins.
Wins, yeah.
What is your view around AI, agentic AI? What is it enabling?
Sure.
And how will you use it?
So we started experimenting with generative AI way back in February of 2024. So that's going to be close to 2 years now. And since then, we have experimented with a lot of different use cases across the insurance value chain. So be it let's say sales, servicing, operations, underwriting, claims. But if you were to ask me, maybe, in the immediate future, the biggest impact in insurance would be around operational efficiency.
Ah,
So when I say that, it's around, let's say processes,
workflow.
claims management, how do you kind of reduce the load on the current doctors who actually adjudicate claims, right? Because today large language models are quite educated, right? And they can give you a lot of insights that would otherwise take humans a lot of time and effort to do that.
That's a great point. That's a great angle.
Yeah. So similarly on the servicing side, right, we started, so what the journey that we started in 2016 with traditional NLP bots, now those journeys are going to be revisited or getting revisited through large language models. How can you make those journeys more conversational, more personal? So those are things that we're trying to do.
Okay. So you're saying, in addition to what we call document management, workflow management, claims management, fraud detection and management, there are other use cases for doctor on demand, bots that can answer FAQs and deeper FAQs, and of course it's a language model. So in your crystal ball, are you looking at AI, Gen AI and large language models sunsetting any of the people related jobs, or is it augmenting it? What is your take on this whole fear and hype around AI?
I would say in the next 12 to 24 months, it's definitely going to be augmentation.
Okay.
Primarily because, models are still evolving, right? Companies are still trying to figure out how agents coexist with individuals.
Right.
So I think the next 12 to 24 months, it's important for us to, not be afraid of this change.
Of this.
I think, the people who will be more successful are the ones who will adopt this change faster.
Okay.
So
that's basically a loaded must do, because yes, it is the fear of the unknown, but what is it that agentic AIs can do? Can they do X as well? You define the use case, and hence you will be the first mover at one.
Exactly.
Okay. So we talked a fair bit about, your foray into technology, the whole API orchestration layer, how you created what you would call this consumption model rather than build. You're consuming and publishing APIs. Let's talk about this partner ecosystem, observability and accountability. Again, what was utilized, how much utilization is actually happening versus what you had planned. A lot of the surpluses, a lot of the excesses usually are buried in there, right?
Right.
So how do you monitor this ecosystem that you've ensembled and created? Do you constantly monitor? Do you constantly hold them accountable? How does it work? Just walk us through that.
Sure, Cyrus. So observability has been an integral part of our strategy since day one. So if we were to break down our enterprise landscape into different layers, right? So let's pick up infrastructure. So on the infrastructure side, we have observability embedded in network, right? Same thing done on our servers as well. As far as applications are concerned, be it the core systems or the digital layers, we have embedded observability there as well. And last but not the least, like you said, the API layer. I think one of the most critical elements is to ensure that you have real-time insight into how they are operating. Primarily because you're now integrated with close to 500 partners, and at any given point in time, if you want to be more proactive than, get to know about a problem when the business teams report it.
So you sit behind a Mission Impossible type dashboard, see the MIPS, compute lights, bulbs, and
Yeah, that's
really how it works.
that's how I want to it to look like. But today you're getting there. We are getting there. So there are dashboards, but it's not like we have a couple of people who sit behind dashboards, but we have real-time alerts that come up, and there are escalation mechanisms built in.
So again, the accountability is built in within your day-to-day operation. It's not a unique operation. It's not a one-time thing.
Right.
It's a continuous monitoring capability.
Exactly. So it's like so the end goal is obviously a single pane of glass, like you said, right? I mean, you get to see everything on a single pane of glass. Today, that is not the reality, but we're close to getting there.
Close to that.
Yeah.
So we talked about the APIs, we talked about tech and the observability. Let's move to the customer segment, where data privacy and DPDP, as we call it, has become not only regulatory requirements, but it's also incumbent upon insurers to protect the identity, protect the data, enhance the data, but not hamper innovation. To me, it sounds a bit like an oxymoron, I will protect your data, but you can't do that. So, I mean, how do you play around with that? It's relatively new. The risk guys are involved.
Right.
Your take on
Cyrus, it's early days, but I think you've got it right. I mean, how do you balance, more than innovation, I would say, how do you balance customer experience and privacy? I think
security,
exactly.
onboarding is a part of that. My look and feel,
Right.
How much do I enable versus how much do I protect?
Exactly. How much consent to take, right? I mean, for every single piece of information that you are getting from your customer, I would probably have to take consent for each of that, right? Then there is a retention strategy that you have to have, right? How do you kind of monitor the life cycle of the data that you are carrying? But most importantly, I think it is. I think what's even more critical for somebody like us who works with so many partners and so many distributors is, how do you ensure that your partners are also compliant? Yeah, I think that is going to be a very important piece. And with the act, coming into being now, I think the next 18 months is what we have, and it's something that that we are spending a lot of time on. We are also actually realizing that every scenario, every use case needs to be handled separately. So we're now trying to brainstorm and see, whether this fits into the act. What do you need to do for this kind of a scenario?
So literally, you, ops, risk, everybody gets involved saying, guys, this is what the new mandate mandates.
Right.
So I'm compliant, but what about you? And what about the downstream? Exactly. And how are you complying to this?
Correct.
And they will have to adhere. There's no way.
There's no option.
It's now a mandate.
Right.
So again, this I suspect is going to take up a fair bit of time, effort, and money that can apply to, which brings us to that earlier question. Compliance is almost 25-30%
Exactly.
of a typical insurer spend. And you can't really expect an ROI behind that.
Right.
So now this is adding on to that. Like in the banking world, we had the Basel III compliance and, ops risk and compliance and credit risk and market risk.
Right.
And your critical applications sit in both the DC and the DR site, in the production as well as the recovery site.
Yes, of course.
So does your data. So our transactions.
Yes.
So it's literally a live site.
Yes.
Okay.
Then we have, so the heart of any insurance company is the core policy admin system.
True.
So that's something that we have on the cloud, because we were one of the first insurance companies to take their core onto the public cloud.
True.
Then we have microservices that have been built. So when we were actually doing our transformation, we ensured that all the digital layers are being built natively, that are cloud native services are being built rather than doing a lift and shift. So we have more than 2,000 microservices that have been built for our different lines of businesses, and these these connect to our digital layers. So digital layers include portals and apps for our partners, our customers, our employees. Plus, we onboard close to 50 to 60 newer partners every year through digital integrations.
Wow.
So we've built something known as the API vault that we call, which helps us to kind of integrate with partners at a very rapid speed.
So this is an API orchestration layer.
It is in a way a orchestration layer that kind of houses all our APIs and are readily available for our partners on,
So
once they
either the
sign up.
partner's consuming or you're consuming the partner APIs for the services that they render to you.
Correct.
And you monitor that orchestration layer throughout, constantly sunsetting, adding on 40,
Exactly.
50.
So managing the entire life cycle of those services. Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay,
Yeah,
again, that is a fairly unique proposition. If I look at the Indian insurance landscape, I
Right.
think that again sets you apart, isn't it? I mean, you're an API first
Right.
company, if that's even a term, but we can coin it here. API first. So why build everything when you can consume or publish?
Right.
And and then embedded insurance
Right.
becomes easy, of course. And the last question, you talked about partners and new partners and existing partners. It's very easy to onboard a technology. I need a server, I bought a server. I need storage, I bought storage.
Right.
But when it comes to services, when it comes to keeping the lights on that you mentioned, when it comes to reporting, a unique partnership is truly valuable, which means business-led KPIs. You will go and saying the business wants to grow at 15, 20%. We are growing at 15, 20%. I want a partner that scales. I want to be able to do customer delight. That's my KPI as a technology and operations head. I'll pass it to you. Can that be a reality? Does that happen? Do partners skin in the game? Is that possible?
So Cyrus, I mean, skin in the game is a term that I've heard
Loosely used.
loosely used since I started my career, honestly.
True.
Unfortunately, the skin in the game is actually today still limited to a part of your contract value. I mean, it does
Right.
not go beyond that. And I've seen, I'm not talking about smaller players. Probably smaller players are willing to take bigger risks, but larger organizations, partners especially, have seen that they have very stringent compliance as well. So
Yeah.
so they wouldn't risk, putting skin in the game, on outcomes, on
Not
business
as a
outcomes.
financial skin in the game, but
Yeah.
then are you saying that there's an opportunity for a partner to differentiate themselves? Because if they're truly growing with you and if they're truly kind of inheriting your KPIs and making sure that they hit it like their own, that could be a wow factor.
Oh, that will be fantastic. In
Yeah.
fact, that will make my job much more easier.
It would, wouldn't it? I mean,
Yes.
the pass on the buck.
Exactly.
So how do you structure these service level agreements existingly? I mean, how do you onboard them to be a part of your direction and your vision and your end goal? How do you do that?
So what we do is, at least for some of our strategic and key partners, we actually share our strategy with them. In fact, even when we create our strategy, they are involved. We bounce off ideas, because one of the source of newer research also comes from our partners.
True.
So that way they're aligned with what we are looking for as a first step. As a second step, there are partners who are willing to, like in your words, put skin in the game.
True.
And we have tried that for a few of our strategic partners, and for specific initiatives where we have put certain business KPIs. And obviously, the outcomes may not be directly linked to the partners, but the partner will have an equivalent KPI.
True.
That may map to the business KPI. So that is something that we have done with certain.
So those service level agreements again set you apart, where building the partner system could be, I dare say, easier, but getting them aligned behind you. Yes,
Right.
of course, everybody is in it because it's contractually bound and they need to be paid.
Right.
But you're saying the alignment where everybody's facing that North Star is possible, and you
is.
have case studies and partners who are aligned.
Yes, sir. And it requires effort on both sides, right? I mean,
Commitment from
commitment
them.
from both sides. Putting in that time. Putting in that governance, doing a monthly sync up, and all of those things. That's very critical. I mean, it's grunt work, but I think at the end of the day, that is what sets you apart.
Right. I have to conclude with, what we call the tangible, magical question, if I may. If we gave you this magic wand where you could change anything from the way you procure technology to the budgets to getting more and getting people and getting partners, what magic dust would you wave around? What would you do that would make your job so much easier? Well, loaded question, think it through. Tomorrow you wake up and you have magic in your hands saying, I would change X. I would get more budget. Everybody wants that.
Yeah. I mean, that's the obvious answer, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you have budgets,
Magic is possible.
magic is possible, but I think the vice versa is also true, Cyrus. Sometimes what happens is when you have unlimited budget, you really don't think through the solution.
So true.
But when
Necessity
exactly
makes you
makes you really innovate and come up with much more innovative solutions.
Great. Great.
Yeah.
So are we clearly in no need of magic? Things are going as planned. Thank you so much for joining us for this Kindle podcast, Avinash. Avi, as you affectionately known. We look forward to engaging with you more. And of course, if there's anything else that we want to pick your brains on, we know where to look for you. So
Thank you,
very much.
Cyrus. It was a pleasure. And thank you, Kindrel, for this podcast. Really appreciate it. Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you.